Support for this show, Politics Done Right, comes from politicsdoneright.com, publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It, As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto, Willies. Welcome to Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto, Willies, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas. Good morning to the United States of America. Good morning to the entire world receiving our signals via the magic of El Internet, formerly known as the ARPANET, created by whom? Created by we the people. That is always the topic of discussion here on this show. We the people. We have to dispel that notion that government is bad. We have to dispel that notion that government doesn't work. We have to dispel that notion that there's something bad about government. Remember, government is the democracy. We, the people, we are the government. If government is bad, we are bad. If we make government good, we are good. Do remember, there's nothing democratic about a corporation. The figment of our imagination, the indoctrination we've received from the inception is that somehow it's that private thing. We have learned since our inception to worship the rich, that somehow they, the parasites who depend on us all, are the ones who are meritorious. Nope, it is you who are meritorious. But anyway, before any further ado, let's move on to the geniuses in El Studio with El Señor Howard Reynolds and Jacques Van Beba.
Well, good morning, Egberto. It is Tuesday morning at the radio, the 25th of November, 2 days away from Thanksgiving, and we're here. We're still on. Tin cans and string are holding up, and the meritorious Jack Van Beber has he has some wisdom back there?
No, I got it right here on the phone.
Oh, you're getting into the modern.
He's getting. Oh my God, Jack is all that.
I've got a long way to go yet. I've got some issues to overcome in my personal thinking.
Oh, I have issues already.
We have issues.
Yes.
Every single day I have issues.
Okay, good morning, Egberto. I'm going to read your summary for today's program. Representative Jasmine Crockett challenges Marjorie Taylor Greene's new claim that she's being mistreated by Donald Trump and the MAGA movement she once championed. The commentary stresses the hypocrisy at play. Greene now faces the same hostility she once directed towards others. The segment frames this moment as a moment of clarity, one that could force Greene and perhaps others in MAGA to confront the cruelty they have cultivated. The broader takeaway emphasizes empathy, accountability, and the recognition that movements built on grievance and authoritarian leanings eventually consume themselves. Yes. The moment exposes a rot at the core of MAGA politics. A movement built on antagonism inevitably turns inward. Crockett's message echoes a broader progressive truth. The change requires rejecting cruelty, embracing justice, and building systems that uplift people rather than fracture them. If Greene's experience prompts even a glimmer of recognition about the harm that she has helped facilitate, the country will benefit. Thank you, Egberto.
Thank you, my brother.
I look forward to more MAGAs resigning, going, hey, wait a minute, we didn't sign up for this. This is not what we supported. We're waking up. Oh, they're becoming woke. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, that's, Egberto has always stressed that, we would like to see the MAGAs and the disgruntled MAGAs that are starting to figure things out and the progressives to accept them into their part of the party, and let's get this America back on the right track.
We're just going to have to scrub them down, They got that MAGA stink on them.
Oh, now let's be kind.
I'm going to try. But, arguing with so many of them on Facebook as I do, they're just the dumbest, most gullible people I've ever met.
Well, that's what propaganda does.
Well, if you believe propaganda, I don't. All right. What do you got for us, Egberto?
We got a big program to do, but I have to start off with something that happened personally yesterday. My wife has lupus, and she went to her kidney doctor yesterday, the specialist. And let me just warn folks who always come up with this vision or this vision that somehow our healthcare system, our completely privatized healthcare portion of our system, is somehow good because it's private and you don't get waiting times and all that kind of stuff. The truth of the matter is, we have wait times here no different than Canada or many of the other countries that have universal healthcare or what we enjoy, as well as single payer healthcare. We got a lot of wait times, etc. My daughter specifically, when she moved back, she had those 2 strokes in DC, and after she finished school, I lived with her for the last 9 months to take care of her. And when she was done with school, she came back. We moved back to Houston, and it took us over 4 months to get into her what would be her neurologist. So this crap about waiting times and all of that, we ration healthcare, but we ration it for a different reason than they do in, let's say, Canada. In Canada, they use their resources efficiently. Here, we use resources to maximize profits for the ones controlling the resources. One is moral, meaning in Canada, you may use your delay resources when it is not critical. Here, critical or not, many a times resources get held. But yesterday we had, I think by the time we added it up, we had probably 4 callers that in some form admonish yours truly for talking badly about Medicare Advantage, which, by the way, I love all my callers. I love everyone. And I mean that from the depth of my heart. Not because I love you doesn't mean I won't say you're absolutely wrong on a particular issue. Just like if I'm absolutely wrong on a particular issue, I will cop to it. I would tell you, I've seen the light. I will cop to anything that I'm wrong about. No, and gladly. The thing about it is, anytime I learn something, I feel empowered even more. Those listening to me on Medicare Advantage, I hope one will feel empowered as we speak the truth about Medicare Advantage. But, this is a corollary offshoot. My wife, as she went to the kidney doctor, she asked her if she was retirement age yet. My wife said no, but that will be coming up, meaning Medicare age. Medicare age is 65 years old. And she said the doctor said, when it is time for you to get Medicare, absolutely do not get Medicare Advantage. The ads that you are bombarded with are hogwash. She said, everybody takes Medicare. The people taking Medicare Advantage is dwindling and will continue to dwindle. And she said, somebody like you who have kidney issues, the day that you get onto Medicare Advantage, you've signed your death sentence. Because eventually, not necessarily immediately, but eventually, you will pay the cost. I mean, it was amazing because when she came home and she just said, she was very serious about it. She said, you remember what you told me a few years ago that we will not use Medicare Advantage? I said, yeah. She said, you'd never imagine what my doctor told me just now. She and my daughter came back from the doctor's office. And let me say this, okay? This is not a knock on anybody who had to take Medicare Advantage. I promise you, it's not a knock. It's not a knock on those who were coerced into taking Medicare Advantage, because the ads are very, very good. The ads are very good, and it makes me feel good. If you listen to one of our great callers yesterday, he said, that grocery that comes with my Medicare Advantage helps out a lot. Of course, my answer to that is Medicare Advantage should have nothing to do with groceries. That is SNAP. We have programs that are designated to do different things in different areas where the middle class and the poor needs assistance. We have programs for that. Food should be SNAP. Healthcare should be Medicare. Nothing more. Healthcare. No magical dinners at Luby's. No magical breakfasts. No magical dinners. That's not the purpose of Medicare. That is saying, let's go ahead and give you a bribe. I bring this up at the beginning of the show, even though this is not a part of the show, my brothers and my sister, because this is so important. This is imperative, especially now. The programs are getting worse and worse as they have to continue making their profits where it is difficult to do. So anybody right now this morning who wants to call me on Medicare Advantage, I do want to hear from you. Good or bad experience, I do want to hear from you. And the reason why, this is serious, this is your life, and I will not back down from giving people truthful advice, not coming just out of some ideological mumbo jumbo crap, but coming out of well-researched information. Well-researched. You cannot tell me you have done well-researched information and tell me that in the aggregate, not on you personally, but in the aggregate, that Medicare Advantage is anything other than a fraud. Come on in, Richard.
Yeah, hi. Thank you. I talked to you yesterday, and you told me to call back the next day. Maybe it'd be better reception. But I'm hearing my voice in return.
Yeah, talk to me, my brother.
Well, I don't have anything to say about Medicare except I believe everyone's saying, which makes me wonder about Joe Namath and Jimmy Walker selling their souls. But what I called about is I'm just astonished that not one news channel has said what was really going on with the Mandani kiss-up. And it's the same thing that is going on with him, indicting the Democrats. And people are overanalyzing Donald Trump and giving him way too much credit for manipulation. All this is doing is kicking the pedophile Epstein survivor can down the road for another day. This just in, Donald Trump posthumously pardoned Charles Manson just to get through another news cycle of not talking about the pedophile. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you, my brother. And there is much to what you have to say. He will do a lot of stuff, Richard. You're absolutely right. Just to change the news cycle. And believe it or not, being passive with him is much more effective because it's going to make another news cycle as well. But let me just say in regard to that as well, Richard, however, is that Mamdani also neutered Trump. And I did a piece on that. Did I do it this morning? Or I think I did it on 3:00 show. But I have a piece from Ali Velshi that kind of expands on even something further. But let's go to Brother Johnny. Come on in, Johnny.
You are 100% correct. Not only what you said this morning on Arnie Arneson, and I'm hearing my voice come back, but I'll try to ignore it. I hope you can hear me okay.
Yes, I hear you okay, brother.
Okay, so you're correct on Arnie Arnson in your description of our foreign policy as an extension of Manifest Destiny. Spot on. And also you are correct about Medicare Advantage programs. I have family that have Medicare Advantage, and guess what? Not too many weeks ago, instead of paying $20 for some kind of medication that he needs, now it's $120. And he was told by the doctor that the health insurance company said they would not pay for the name brand, but some off-brand insulin type that he may be taking. So it's beginning. And to that other caller yesterday, Mike, I think it was, Mr. Mike, remember, you are not paying attention to the show every day. If you didn't, you wouldn't talk to Egberto the way you did. You owe him an apology. And with that, donuts for everyone.
Thank you very much, my brother Johnny. You have a wonderful rest of your day. Let's go to Barbara and all of you in the chat. Thank you for being here. Great seeing everybody and seeing an actively moving chat. You guys are wonderful. Talk to me, Barbara.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so Egberto, I wanted to ask a question really. I retired from the state of Texas, and we have a Medicare Advantage plan, the state, for the whole state. And I've had good experience with it. I've been retired for over 8 years. And on this Medicare Advantage plan, and I haven't paid anything for a copay for anything. So I want to know, is there a difference if you're on a group Medicare Advantage plan rather than just an individual Medicare Advantage plan?
Yeah, let me explain that first of all. All Medicare Advantage plans are some sort of a group. Were you a part of the teachers' retirement program?
No, I work for the state.
So for the state. And the state also.
The ERS. Yeah, I work for the state.
Let's first qualify something, right? A lot of companies, in fact, I don't know if you remember the Hoofaloo in New York, where they were shifting I think it was all the retirees in New York into Medicare Advantage plans. And they raised hell, and whatever the mayor was named of in New York then, or still is right now, he finally sort of backed off for a while going into Medicare Advantage. Look, Medicare Advantage is going to behave for people like, if a state went ahead and joined a Medicare Advantage group, you can rest assured that Medicare Advantage will attempt to behave itself in areas where it is controlled by people who have power, if you will. And, that would be a state plan that is run by Medicare Advantage. Because remember, it's no different than a corporation like, let's say, Exxon, who has Cigna running the plan for them. Cigna behaves very well for the employees of Exxon, but it behaves poorly. I'm just using this hypothetically. It behaves poorly for an individual like me who went to get the plan. Okay? So there will be pockets of people who have the power of the people who signed up for that plan to back them up. So I think you will be fine because, in fact, I don't think the state gives you an option other than the Medicare Advantage option. Is that correct?
No, you can do regular Medicare, and then
They will
give you a supplemental plan. And they're exactly the same.
And who pays the supplemental plan?
The state.
Okay, if I want to tell anybody who's listening right now, if you have the state that gives you the option for the traditional and they pay the supplemental, I can't see. Let me back up a second. Why did you choose Medicare Advantage when you also had a supplemental along with Medicare traditional that would have cost you nothing?
I think because I didn't understand I had a choice.
Okay. And that's one of the magical things, right? They don't let you know that you have a choice. That's what, but let me just say this. When you have a Medicare Advantage plan, the particular insurance company tells you which doctors you can see, tells you what is in, what plans you can go, what drugs you can take. When you are in traditional Medicare, you are the one, your doctor is the one who determines that. And you have the choices of any doctor, just like the doctor told my wife yesterday. So, I mean, the problem is this. Once you choose Medicare Advantage, going back to traditional Medicare is generally next to impossible because you have to requalify through the actuarial tables for the supplemental. They won't just give you the supplemental at an affordable price. What I would do is ask whoever manages my health plan if you have the ability to change over to traditional Medicare without any penalties. And if I were you and had the ability to do it again, if I were you, I would do that faster than lightning strikes. And the reason why, like I said, is whereas if you were to get some serious illness that your particular Medicare Advantage plan choose not to cover, let's say it's service at Kettering Cancer Institute or one of these things that we know many Medicare Advantage plans don't cover. We know that traditional Medicare will cover that. I hope I was clear enough with this.
Oh, you were. Egberto, I love you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, and love you back, my dear sister. All right, let's go to Donald. Brother Donald, come on in.
Good morning, Egberto. There's
Good morning, my brother.
Point.
Yes, there is. You're right.
The only truth is death and tax.
You're right.
Everything else is the truth.
Yes.
But since you didn't collect your last caller, I'm going to say something and get in trouble.
You won't.
Tommy was right at home from what he was saying because she was only 6 years old when she married Muhammad. So let's do the math and see when the marriage was, consummated.
Hey,
so
Don.
That means what the caller was saying is correct. And Madami was right at home.
Donald, behave yourself. I hear your signal lights. Concentrate on that road, all right?
All right, my brother. Take care.
Love you, brother. Let's go to Stephen. You're a bad boy. All right, come on in, Stephen.
Good morning, Egberto.
Good morning, sir.
Hey,
how you doing?
I'm doing well. I just want to chime in on some of the commentary this morning on the medical benefits issues. I've been, with employer-provided health care since 2006.
Mm-hmm.
And some of these issues that are just becoming a problem to guys that are on Medicare or other packages, that's all I've ever known.
Mm-hmm.
You've always had to get a generic medicine for whatever you had. You always had to get pre-approvals for certain appointments and in-network doctors. And I think that's where a lot of the disconnect lies. That some people don't understand that this is nothing new for a large majority of the population that's been on employer-provided health care, And I think people kind of take this utopian view of what healthcare should look like. And I wish it was, but, I've personally witnessed premiums double and triple since the Affordable Care Act. There was a time when I took a hell of a pay cut and I looked into the marketplace ACA stuff, and you basically had to be below poverty line to even make it feasible. I think that's where a lot of the times the people with the real world experience can't get on board with the ACA and the cost.
Let me tell you that Stephen, let me just say this and respectfully, right? When the ACA came out, when the first instance of the ACA came out, we had a lot of protesting about what was going to be in it, and what we wanted was something called the public option, which means we wanted a government option where there was no profits, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The ACA has absolutely nothing to do with price rises. That's a figment of the imagination of the right. It has absolutely nothing to do with the price rise at all. I can tell you that after research. I can tell you that from a practical mathematical standpoint. It's a fallacy to say that. Now, let me tell you what the ACA is, because a lot of people don't understand what happens. In fact, this is why we were against Obama initially with the ACA, because it changed nothing other than made the insurance companies do what they said. Let me give an example. Donald Trump has just come out with a policy that he says he's going to give the money directly to the people so they can go ahead and shop for insurance themselves, and that would create competition. That is the most ridiculous, asinine thing one could do. Let's explain why. All the ACA did was created a legal marketplace of insurance companies. In the past, that's exactly what you do. If you were not working for an employer, exactly as you explained, where you had to follow the rules of whoever was doing the insurance from the employer, that is what occurred. What Obama did was allowed what employers did to also work for the individual. People like me who had their own companies and was paying an inordinately ridiculous amount of costs for my health care. Now, he created a marketplace that had to follow rules. In other words, pregnancy was no longer a pre-existing condition. Two, the pre-existing conditions had to be covered. No longer could you be discriminated on for anything, because insurance is supposed to be insurance, not just a profit-making center. And because he did that, insurance companies could not rip you off any longer. It costs not to rip you off, right? Because ripping you off means I take your money, but when it is time to give you service, I say no. The Affordable Care Act put all the. Okay, go ahead. So what else? What then?
No, I understand all that, and to me, the biggest, most impactful things that ACA did was those two things you mentioned. Was no denial for pre-existing conditions, and like you said,
quality of care.
Pregnancy as a pre-existing, right. I think where they dropped the ball is kind of putting some different guardrails in there and caps on what the insurance does. And I get the reason why, because you kind of blur the line between state provided and how much government influence there is in private industry. But there also lies the problem is you can't dabble a little bit and then not put any guardrails in.
What?
Because now the insurance can say, well, to maintain these margins, this is what we have to charge, right? And to me, that should kind of fall under the lines of public services. If the government's going to get involved in it,
Let me ask you a question. What is different? When I talk about the reason we don't want Medicare Advantage is I point out exactly what you just said. Margins, right? In other words, right. Every single insurance company, the first thing that they have to meet is their margins with their shareholders. And those executives want their profits. So whether that they are a part of the ACA or they're alone, that's what happens. What we want, Stephen, is Medicare for all, single payer Medicare, which means there is no. Let me ask you this. If you have your electric bill to pay, your water bill to pay, and your grocery bill to pay, and I look at you and I say, hey, Stephen, I will pay that bill for you. Don't worry about paying that bill. I'll pay that bill for you. And then I say, but to pay that bill, you have to give me, for every dollar that I pay in your bill, you have to give me 20 cents. What would you tell me? Meaning if the bill is $1,000, you got to give me $200. What would you say?
Right. And no one's going to turn that deal down.
Right. So what I'm saying is
that's the
you're
deal, but the problem lies.
no.
Like I guardrails on that $1,000 bill that this company can charge you.
Now, here's what the solution is, though. In other words, why you can pay your bill on your own. Why should you pay $1,200 for $1,000 bill to somebody who offers nothing other than paying the bill for you? Makes no sense. That's what private insurance companies do today. You are paying them 20% to pay shareholders, to pay executives and all of that. You, out of your premiums, 20% of your premium, actually it's more than that because they do all kind of magic accounting. You are paying 20% of your premiums to go ahead and pay these rich fat cats. I am advocating a government control of paying the bill like Medicare traditional works. And the overhead for that is under 3%, meaning to pay the people who are doing the job. And what all these ads on TV do, and when they tell you stories like, it's communism or socialism, or when they tell you doing that is those things, what they're trying to tell you is you're foolish, because they're saying, who do you want to be your master? Because you just said it when you started the call. You said you have always worked for companies with insurances that told you had to get pre-authorized. Traditional Medicare, you don't have to get pre-authorized for most things. They told you what medicines you could take. Traditional Medicare lets your doctor decide. They tell you, I am saying, let's move from the enslavement of the private sector to we the people who actually gives you options. That's all I'm saying. And too many people. You go ahead, brother.
I agree. The thing is, it can't be half-hearted. The government can't say, okay, we'll subsidize these private insurances, because that just opens the door for costs to climb.
I agree with you 100% there, sir.
Say, well, healthcare costs, because now we have to accept these pre-existing and XYZ. This is what the healthcare cost is, because they got almost like a blank checkbook because of the subsidies that are being provided to them.
And that's the part that I want you to be to think about. And let me tell you what I mean by that. Right now, we have a failed healthcare system. Right, the healthcare system has failed, and it's a private sector that's winning all of the times. All these private insurance companies are sucking the money out of us. While we try to educate people on why we need a single payer system, I don't want my brothers and sisters who are on the ACA, who Trump has yanked the subsidies from, I don't want them to suffer as we try to clean up a mess created by all of us. And that's why I'm saying, you're right. The subsidies are costing more than they should, but I care too much about the people. And I say we'll absorb this cost until we can actually modify the system the way it should be. That's all I'm asking for. Anything else, brother?
Yeah. Where the subsidies kick in, wouldn't that be right around where Medicaid would also be provided?
No, because Medicaid require the what they call poverty rate on the ACA is 100 and something percent. Actually, I think some of it was a 400% of poverty rate, or so. It was some large percentage above poverty that you got subsidies. In other words, you could have made $80,000 and gotten a healthy subsidy on the exchange. In fact, what happens now is a elderly couple making $80,000 may end up paying about $30-something thousand, I believe, for healthcare if the subsidies doesn't come back in January. So that's the kind of pain that we're talking about.
Yeah, I know when I looked into it, I was making about $55,000 with a family of four, and the middle of the line plan, I don't remember what it was.
It's a silver plan,
like
yes.
It was like $1,100 or $1,200 a month.
Right, and that means
gross income.
Yeah, it's still crazy, right? That's crazy, isn't it? That you're paying about $16,000 or maybe $14,000 in health insurance, and then you have to pay another $5,000 before it actually kicks in. Well, not completely so, right? Because you went to doctors in the plan for a $10 copay or $25 copay. So it was still subsidizing your general purpose stuff. But if you had a major operation that cost $10,000, you're still responsible for the first $5,000. It's still crazy. But, it is something that we have to work on. But look, I got to go, Stephen. But look, thank you for allowing me to explain. Thank you for allowing me to explain this stuff, because your call enlightened quite a few. Thank you, brother.
Yes, sir. Bye.
All right. Have a great one. All right. What is our subject today again? Let me give my voice a little rest and play you something. I think the one that I'm supposed to play is with Jasmine Crockett, and then I'll keep up. I'm having a little bit of a scratchiness in my voice. Of course, I did cue the thing. Egberto, why are you so terrible? So I'm going to cue it right now, and bear with me as I find the file that I prepared last night. But I want to get this played for you. I need to go ahead and first make sure that our relay can hear it as well. Por favor, ¿dónde está Jasmine Crockett? And that is right here. And we are going to play that one, and then we'll come right back to the program if I can get it done. Marjorie Taylor Greene resign. Marjorie Taylor Greene is Donald Trump's victim. Marjorie Taylor Greene wants to know, why does he treat me so badly? Now that Marjorie Taylor Greene has been excoriated by the president, really hit hard by the president, she's crying foul. But of course, she ought to remember that she was the part of the group doing these things. Look, I want Marjorie Taylor to be in our domain. I mean, we could use her. We could use her influence to affect others, to have them change over and be good, moral people who believe in policies that support humanity. But, Jasmine Crockett has a question for her. Do you know that what you're feeling now is what so many had to go through, not only at the hands of the president, but even at the hands of your own words? Check this out, and then we'll take it on the other side.
Seems to be suggesting that it is their disagreement over the release of the Epstein files that is causing this shocking political breakup. What's your response to that?
I mean, listen, he's upset with Thomas Massie, and so he's gone after him. He's upset with Boebert. He's upset with any Republican that actually signed the discharge petition. But somehow they were able to weather the storm. So, this really speaks to the fact that Marjorie, who has been an instigator of a lot of this hate that we see as it relates to the MAGA movement, it's just interesting that I don't know if she really fully understood how bad she was making it for other people. And now that they're doing it to her, I just got to say, well, why is it that everyone else is able to stand and you can't?
Jasmine Crockett nails it. And I hope as others find out what being a part of the MAGA base is all about, when you take a look from the outside and then looking in, that just maybe it will change them to be a bit more considerate to the rest of the people, if you will. But you know what? I'm going to say one thing before I end on Marjorie Taylor Greene. Right now, the country is in trouble, and we ought to take help from wherever it comes from. And if she, no matter what her motivation is, can bring down these people that are really turning the country over to the plutocracy, to the autocrat puppeteers, I should say, then, hey, girl, welcome. Conditionally.
All of
And yeah, I mean that. And I think, I think Jack alluded to that earlier in the discussion. I want all of us to get together from every other spectrum. There's a fog. I remember during the Obama years, Obama put a lot of shock into a lot of folks for reasons I'm not going to go into discussion to right now, open too much of a subject that needs to be spoken about. That fever he was hoping would break. It had gotten worse and worse and worse. I hope that with people, I will welcome Marjorie Taylor with open arms right now. Open arms. If we are going to get what we need to get. Go ahead, Betty.
I just wanted to renew my with Reliance Light Company. And they're using the same tape with Exxon and all the other companies with the free medical alert. But Medicare Advantage, most of all, they're pushing that. They just want the enrollment money. They're dirty birds. And aren't they also dipping into Social Security and Medicare? Are they?
Who are we talking about, Betty? The insurance company?
Yeah.
Let me tell you, that is a whole other story as far as what they're dipping into. Medicare Advantage dip into a whole lot more than traditional Medicare, but that's for another day.
Oh, okay. Oh, anyway, I finally got a letter from Alliance and a return envelope. I signed it and sent it off. On governor of Texas, he wants attention so bad, it's like he go take a pee in a vacant lot, and nobody's looking at him, and he says, "You over there, don't look." Love y'all.
Wait, Betty, don't go yet. Let me ask you something. She left. I think I misunderstood something that she said, and she said she signed something and sent it off. Betty, if you can call Jack and tell him what is it that you signed and send it off. I want to know what that is, just to be sure that I understood what you're saying. That's important. Anyway, let's see if I should play that other video. Yeah, let me play the other video. This one should be interesting. And then we are going to go to, I probably don't have enough time. I tell you, the rest of the videos you can get at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter, because I need to get on to Venezuela. Because this is important. Our news is not covering it as it should. Okay? So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about Venezuela. Venezuela for American oil companies will be a field day, says U.S. lawmaker pushing invasion. They're not even hiding it anymore. A U.S.-led regime change war abroad to line the pockets of big oil. Where have we heard this one before? Going to war for oil, the sequel. That is how one film and television producer responded to a Monday clip of U.S. Representative Maria Salazar, Republican of Florida, discussing President Donald Trump's potential military invasion of Venezuela on Fox Business. Amid mounting alarm that Trump may take military action, Salazar said there were 3 reasons why we need to go in to the South American country. The first, she said, is that Venezuela, for the American oil companies, will be a field day. So your kids that dutifully, patriotically signed up to serve our country, to defend our country, they want to use our kids, our fathers, mothers, sisters, brothers, aunties, to go blow up Venezuela to take the oil. You know, a lot of times we say this stuff as conjecture. This was out of the mouth of the Venezuelan Republican Florida representative. I repeat, what did she say? We need to go in to the South American country. The first, she said, is that the first reason Venezuela for the American oil companies will be a field day. Remember what we spoke about Venezuela many a times. Venezuela is sitting on top the largest pool of oil, the largest pool of many other minerals around the world. That's a fertile, mineral-rich country, almost as mineral-rich as Africa. Now, when it was run by plutocrats, well, Carlos Andrés Pérez came in and did some good stuff, but when it was run by plutocrats, all the spoils went to the plutocrats. You know, people say, look at Caracas, Venezuela. Look at these big, beautiful cities. Hey, look at Panama City, Panama. Then go to Colón. Then go to David. Then go other places, okay? The plutocrats are living fine and the rest of the people are not. That brought us, and that created not Manuel Antonio Noriega. That created Hugo Chavez. And Hugo Chavez, for his first few years, dropped poverty because the wealth of the country didn't go solely to the plutocrats, but to everybody. The United States could not have that. Because if we understood that any country sitting on top of a whole bunch of natural resources, suddenly instead of going to the plutocrats, to the wealthy, to the stockholders, etc., it went to the people of the country. If America ever saw a Bolivian revolution working in Venezuela, what would happen here in the United States, in Colorado, in New Mexico, in North Dakota, South Dakota? What happens when people behave and say, wait a minute, these are the resources of the United States of America, and we cannot have this solely going to the wealthy as it does now, to Exxon, to all these private corporations. It belongs to us all. All of us own this. Yes, you should get compensated for exploiting it, but ultimately, when it is in production, it belongs to all of us, not to we found it, we keep it. It's a different mentality that could not be allowed to exist in Venezuela. We could not have people who are all the masses who are taking advantage of the resources of the country. We can never have that happen in a country because it just may bleed. It may metastasize outside of that country. It may actually come to America, where Americans wake up and say, my God, you mean we have all these natural resources and only the plutocrats are able to get the spoils and the few employees that they have? That is the trickery that goes on here. So anyway, continuing. After journalist Aaron Rupar noted her remarks on social media, many critics weighed in on, including Justice Democrats, which works to elect progressives to Congress. They are not even hiding it anymore. A U.S.-led regime change war abroad to line the pockets of big oil. Where have we heard this one before? The group said, referring to the invasion of Iraq. Fred Wellman, a U.S. Army combat veteran and podcast host, running as a Democrat in Missouri's 2nd Congressional District, replied on social media, "They are sending our troops to war for the oil companies and not even pretending to lie about it. The sick SOBs are going to get our kids killed, and it's all a big joke." Salazar also described Venezuela as a launching pad for enemies of the U.S. and claimed the country's president, Nicolás Maduro, leads the alleged Cartel de los Soles, or the Cartel of the Suns, which the Trump administration on Monday designated as a foreign terrorist organization. Here's the thing. Venezuela's Interior and Justice Minister, Diosdado Cabello, has long claimed the cartel doesn't exist. This is something the CIA does all the time. They create phantom groups for us to have somebody to purportedly attack. We've done this all over the world. We did this in Panama. We did when Noriega made a deal with the Reagan administration to invade Nicaragua. Well, not invade, but create guerrillas, etc. in Nicaragua. It didn't quite work out. And Noriega continued doing his other stuff and kind of because they didn't all work out, they created this thing about Noriega that was this little country, Panama, less than 3 million people. Somehow, this country of less than 3 million people was a threat to this big behemoth, the United States. When we have Russia, China, India, Brazil, all these other countries with hundreds of millions of people. But Panama with under 3 million was a problem. And we sent stealth fighters, bombers, killed 10,000 Panamanians who were about to repeat the same thing. Or they're trying to in Venezuela. For what? Purposes otherwise. In this case, we cannot keep that amount of oil under the control of others. We cannot keep the oil control out of others. No, Lee the Bearcat says, yeah, Noriega did drugs. Yeah, you know why Noriega did drugs? Because guess who loved their drugs, Lee the Bearcat? Americans. You want the drug trade to stop? Take the pain away from Americans who are soothing it with drugs. Take the pain that's going through the American soul so that they don't feel they have to cover that pain with drugs. You create a demand, an economic system will bring the supply. It's more expensive to blow up Panama, more expensive to blow up Nicaragua, and then still have the problem. Because whether the drugs are coming from Nicaragua, Panama, Mexico, China, wherever, if there's a need for the drugs because the people want it, there is going to be some entity, some country to fulfill the need. Just like countries want arms and America sells illegal arms around the world, what if somebody decide that we're going to start blowing parts of America up because of the arms we send to their countries? What would we say then? People, call your congressperson, your senators, etc. No war in Venezuela. The only thing happening in Venezuela, look, I am not a Maduro fan, but I am definitely not a fan of those who would take over past Maduro. Because those that would take over past Maduro will simply return to the kleptocracy of the plutocracy. And there will be no solution going forward. So folks, make the call. Anyway, I've got time for a few more calls. 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. If you can call me within a minute, if you have something that you really want to get off your mind, you can. 713-526-5738. People. People. We have to get involved. We've got to get engaged. And we also need to want to be curious and learn. Because what the Powell memo did was simple. And Donald Trump says it out loud. I like stupid people. They want to make us stupid. They want to make us stupid. Cabello, who is alleged to be one of the high-ranking members of the cartel, has accused U.S. officials using it as an excuse to target those they do not like. Whenever someone bothers them, they name them as the head of the cartel de los soles, he said in August. Gustavo Petro, the left-wing president of Venezuela's neighbor Colombia, has also denied the cartel's existence. It's a fictional excuse of the far right to bring down governments that do not obey them. Let me tell you a little secret. I went to a I got a call from a friend in D.C. And the ambassador of Colombia was going to be not the ambassador. Yeah, it was the ambassador in this. The consul was going to be here in Houston, and they set up an interview for me, and you can find that interview on my website. And they had formed a group of Latin American countries, and the group was under the pretext of creating democracy. Well, when I went to the guy, he realized that I was Panamanian, and he probably thought immediately, this guy is going to have a bias because of what Bush did in Panama. And he was correct. So I started to ask him, what is this consortium of people doing in Latin America? And it turned out the guy that was leading this consortium de Peru, what was it called? I can't remember it. Lima, something de Lima. Look, it's on my website. Something de Lima. The guy who put the organization together was the same guy who ran Iran Contra. One of the guys who ran Iran Contra. And I looked at him and I said, this is nothing more than an attempt to overthrow the Venezuelan government, isn't it? And, on the interview, he didn't really come out and say anything. So when we got off the interview, I asked the question again. And he just looked at me and smiled. All of this is a fake. Let me jump to the studio to see if our brothers have anything to say.
Jack, you got anything?
Yeah, Egberto. Betty said she signed a contract to renew her Reliant Energy, but they were trying to market Medicare Advantage to her.
Great. Betty, ignore anything. If you're doing electric, take care of electricity. Do that. No more. Anyway, we're at the end of the program. First of all, folks, thank you for your ears. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your commentary. All of you in the chat, love that great discussion in both chats. Please go to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter for the rest of the show. You can write me directly at kpft@politicsdoneright.com. My name, love you all. And I mean that from the depths of my heart. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out. Support for this show, Politics Done Right, comes from politicsdoneright.com, publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It. As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom. It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto Willies. Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERT